Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.
Hello. Get the hip hop off and the action back on. Hello, welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. Brandon here, as always, joined by my good friend, Andrew Stirk. Andrew, great to have you back.
I appreciate it. I think I literally walked into the room like 10 seconds ago. No one behind the scenes knows this, but I think I came on, I heard the music, and I'm like, I'm still on time. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're the man, right? We made it work. We're all good. Great to have you back. We have lots to talk about, lots of good ideas, good conversation here tonight. So, yeah, it'll be fun to go through it all. Before we do kick off the show and dive too deep into everything, I want to start by thanking our sponsor for tonight's show, the Canadian Bracket Super Tour. Don't have any updated video yet. Let me confirm the date here. Super Tour for the final. Holy frick!
Final points race?
Yeah, final points race.
November 26th, 27th.
I like it. Sounds good to me. Yeah, it should be awesome. In Naperville Dragway, one more weekend, two more events in the point series, so should be good. Obviously, we just had a huge weekend go on for the Fall Bracket Nationals at Lustville Dragway. Huge for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I'm pretty happy with how it worked out for myself, but we can go into that here in a little bit. But thanks to the Bracket Super Tour, not only for sponsoring the show and everything here, but presenting a great race series for us to have in my part of Ontario and Quebec, right? Not necessarily everybody, as you know, it's very easy to get there, right? A bit of a haul from everybody on the other side of Toronto or close to that area, but Ottawa area, kind of everywhere towards Kingston, Belleville, and then all through Quebec. This is the premier bracket traveling series that there is. Yep. Really, I guess only three, well, kind of two of the only traveling series that I know of in Canada, right? This and obviously the National Open Series, which has a portion here and a portion out west as well. So, not very many of those series still around now. So great to still have that. Would be cool to see it expand more in the future. We'll see what happens. Lots of different stuff. But yeah, 10 years of the Super Tour has been awesome. Great for racers. Huge and big money racing, right? On leading edge of different moves and how the sportsman racing has evolved in the last 10 years and really stayed ahead of it. So it's been really good. Thanks to them. I love it, right? I've been a supporter for maybe 7 years, 8 years now. It was full time. I didn't get to run it full time the first year. It's 8 or 9 years. I think I missed the first one. But either way.
Yeah, this is year number 10, right? So
yes. Yeah. And I for sure missed the first one. Yeah, and then I think went to a few of the second year, and then the third one it really took off for me. So yeah, all good. If you're tuning in live, we already got a few people in the chat section in the comments firing it up here. Let us know that you're hanging out, right? Let us know you're here, being a part of it. Comments, questions as we go through. The conversation part of tonight's episode should be good. It'll be interesting the different takes that people have on it, right? So anything thought provoking or things like that, let us know, and we will dive into that a little more. Or if you have a different insight or something like that, should be good. So Andrew, we will do a quick Canadian countdown tonight before we get into our conversation. We'll start a couple weeks ago. Honeywell Works Napa weekend at Lustville Dragway. Saturday, Katie Adams got the win in junior. Russ Fraser took the win in semi-pro. Brody Belfoy got the win in super pro. That was the king of the track race. Brody did race Russ Fraser in the runoff for the king of the track Wally and honors. So Brody took that down. Good for him. I believe that is a race that Randy won, that Brody's dad, a couple years ago.
Yep.
So something cool. I've never won the king of the track race at Lustville, and Brody and Randy, as a father and son duo, have done that now. So
funny side story to that one. So traveling partner of the BS tour, Ted Barnes, was in Ottawa picking up some
That's
parts,
right.
and just this is the typical racer story. So those who've won a Wally, I mean, maybe appreciate this. Those who haven't may think it's funny. Go to pick up the headers. Brody was in Ottawa to meet Ted, who's in town there, do 50 things. Headers in the back seat. Front seat, there is a Wally on the front seat, I think with a seatbelt on. And Ted just looks over and goes, what's going on there? He goes, oh, yeah, I won this yesterday. Right? And just out for a cruise, dropping parts off with Wally in the front seat. So, and I can't point and laugh at this because I've literally done the same thing with Ironman and Wallies. In fact, I got a great picture of two Wallies on a weekend where I won two side by side, seatbelts on. Right? So, that's the thing to do. So, but good job to Brody on that one. That was a great W.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him. We'll roll over to Sunday. Ashley Ogilvy gets the win over Frank Anger. Frank having a wicked year. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. Semi-pro Stephen Ballantyne over Mickey Renault. Glenn Cameron got the win in Nostalgia. And Maverick Anger got the win in Junior Dragster over Cole Krotner. So great weekend. Nice to... That was the Napa kind of fan appreciation weekend, I guess. They gave out a boatload of free tickets to everybody. A bunch of Napa stores in this area were handing them all out. So we had a bunch of friends come by and see us. It was really cool to do that. And yeah, a lot of fun. I think I made it down to 4 cars and broke a rocker. So I was trying to race Ashley in the final, and then
Close.
Busted it up. But yeah, she got it done either way. So yeah, cool deal for that. Great to see it, and great to see a lot of support out there. We'll roll over to the Fall Bracket Nationals of Lustville Dragway that we just spoke about with the Bracket Super Tour. Super Pro, Brandon Barker, myself did get the win over Mike Chenier. I did also get the win on Sunday over Frank Anger. We'll talk about Frank for a sec. That was Frank's 12th final of the year.
Wow.
So huge. And then that includes, in the dragster, in the door car, in Super Comp. He's been dominant in everything. So a really cool year for him. And a lot of fun. That was the 4th final that him and I have been in together. I have won 3 of those, and he has gotten 1. But yeah, wicked year for Frank. So he's been
very, very Mike Chenier like year, if we can bridge that one, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. So cool to that. Great year, weekend for myself. Rolling through a lot of great comments on there that I've gotten, a lot of feedback. So. We'll see how all the point standings fare out when that all gets finished up, and we're looking pretty decent heading into the fall part of the season for wrapping everything up in different championships. So should be cool. Time of double ups though. Julia Malcolm doubles up junior dragster. She wins Saturday over Katie Adams. Sunday, I do not know who she was beat. But either way, Julia doubled it up. Great for her. I got a really cool picture with Julia, the two of us sitting there, both our dragsters in the winner's circle, both of us holding our big checks up. So all 4 of them in there was pretty neat. So cool to do that. Neat when you grow up at a racetrack racing juniors and then get to do I don't know, things like that as a former junior racer with current junior ones. You know, it just
Yeah.
there's a lot of meaning there and a lot of for the whole Malcolm family involved with me being where I am with racing right now. So need to share that with Julia. So that was cool. Semi-pro Mike LaBelle got the win on Saturday over at Maxime Preux. Dominic Germain gets the win on Sunday in semi. Great weekend for semi-pro cars. A lot of really great racing and a different mix of guys taking it down.
Yeah.
So really cool deal and a lot of fun. We had some not so great weather. Friday it rained out, nobody got to race. Saturday morning it rained. It's really nice, relaxing Saturday morning, and
Calm
finished
and
like 8:30, and
Yep.
yeah, it's a great weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked that way from the pictures we were looking at because it was a busy weekend if you consider all the tracks that were running different events and
Yep.
to see like there were some very well attended events all over the place. So you know, in a general, is racing healthy? I would suggest Labor Day based on where I saw car counts for everything. Racing's in a pretty still healthy state because there was certainly no lack of places to race between Canada and the U.S. in the Northeast at least.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll roll on to some NHRA National Open racing. Andrew, we can tag team this one. I'll get Friday. Trying to zoom in, make sure I can see this. You right? You can see your results.
I'm still
That's okay. I
willfully
got it.
having trouble here, so sorry.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, Cape Breton Dragway, the fifth weekend, right? I believe the fifth weekend of the National Open Series.
Yeah, because there's one left, so that's
3,
6.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this was 6 or 7. Either way, there's been a lot.
It's actually
Cape Breton, there. I know that there's only Cape Breton and then Cuga was left, so one of those events left to gain points at. Friday, Cape Breton, Stock Super Stock, Mike Ingram with the win over Ryan Tebow. We will check the points later on, or maybe we'll save it for the next show. Mike
actually we should have a bunch of points by then, so
Yeah.
that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah, Mike has to have this thing locked up in Stock Super Stock. Like,
Yeah.
freak
He's
man,
been all over it.
almost every weekend, you know, Mike's in the final or getting a win. So, really cool deal. Super Comp, Riley Green gets the win over Lauren Buchanan. Cool deal for Riley. I think he's just been in the car 1 or 2 years, and yeah, I think this is his first year. He just got that dragster, new to him dragster, all redone and everything set up. So really cool deal. Good for him to be seeing some good results.
For
Dawson Toombs gets the win over Danny Danjou in Super Gas. Great race in the final. He was dead 5 for the win. Kevin McNeil wins Super Street over Richard Boyd. Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, Chris Posibon takes the win over Jason McNeil. Bike Sled, Gordon Ferguson over Stuart Ferguson. Good little race there, I guess. And Junior Dragster, Bryson McNeil gets the win over Casey McElvey. We'll go with that.
That works.
Bryson's been loading it up too. Points will be interesting to see where he lands at the end here. As we roll over to Saturday, surprise, surprise, Stock Super Stock, Mike Ingram with a win. So
I'm just going to go on an edge here and suggest that he might be the points leader with a healthy amount. Just
I think Mike's got it.
throwing it out there.
Over Dave Garland, he took that. Super Comp, Justin Cummings over Brett Ramsey. Great race. Was almost a father-son final round. Riley Green and Mark Green both losing in the semifinals. So
Close.
could have been.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison over James Lyons in Super Gas. Super Street, Kevin McNeil doubles up over Wyatt Rankin. Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, Wyatt Rankin with the win over Doug Rathall. Bike Sled, Wayne Morris over Stuart Ferguson. And Junior Dragster, Logan Roach over Connor Brown. So Bryce McNeil, semifinalist there as well. So loading up on the points there, like we said. It'll be exciting. I've never been this into point stuff, but
Yep.
it is what it is. Now I do a lot more points racing, so
That's what I say. The points racing has gone up in your world, so there's a vested interest, way more than years gone by. So
yeah, exactly. So I was following the Cape Breton results very closely. I'm not prepared to make an assumption in where my standings are at this point, based on I think Mark Green was the only one that really had much of a chance or has much of a chance to still catch me in those points. We'll see. Maybe Mark's gonna.
Now,
If he's
does
not
this
in
mean?
front, he could go to Toronto still.
Well, that's what I was going to throw out here. Does that mean that there might be a bracket life dragster heading towards Toronto Motorsports Park in it's not a month. Well, it's under a month, 3 weeks, something like that.
Will not be happening.
No,
No.
there's a rent-a-ride Corvette here if you need it. It will go 890, I think. Yeah, it'll go 890.
Yeah.
You can race it.
Perfect.
But anyway, we'll figure that part out once we
That
see
would
some
work
points.
better. That would work better for me. Because in probably a month and a week, they're give or take around that time, there'll be, some more little feet, not quite running around here, but there'll be another one hanging around. So we're not venturing too far away from the house quite yet.
Fair, fair.
I love the idea. We'll see. See who makes the trip to Toronto and see how that points chase all shakes out for everybody. So should be cool. We got some NHRA Division 6 ET Finals results at Mission Raceway. First ever best on best race. This is the number one competitor in points from all NHRA member tracks in Division 7. We're allowed to enter this race. And then when the dust settled, these 7 competitors turned on the win lights and got the bragging right belts. They look pretty sweet. If you could see the picture here.
Technologically inferior tonight on every capacity.
Yeah,
so
that's
forgive
all
me
good.
on my end.
But yeah, cool deal for them for all the for the division. It says Division 7 here, but it also mixes Division 6. But either way,
Yep.
Josh Klosky from Mission Raceway Park wins Junior Street. Kenley Pratt from Medford Dragway Junior Lightning. Jesse May from Firebird Raceway Bike Sled winner. Ezra Taylor from Bremerton wins Junior Thunder. Justin Cooper from Walla Walla Drag Strip wins Super Pro. Steve Kelly from Woodburn Drag Strip gets the Pro win. Derek Jackson from Woodburn as well wins Sportsman. And Mike Eames was also there in the picture. Great things that Mike's doing. Mike, it was just 2 or 3 years ago Mike took over Division 6.
Yep.
So he's done a lot of really neat stuff that I've seen so far and looks like everybody's participating. If we got racers from everywhere from Mission to Firebird Raceway, I don't have a map in front of me, but that's a ways away.
You took the words out of my mouth. Division 6 is a difficult division because it's just so spread out, right, from top to bottom and left to right. So they're really trying some. We got some really great ideas going to try to grow what they can grow in a place that I think you could probably spend 14 hours on behind a steering wheel for the closest divisional race, depending on where you live there, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool deal. I love it. I love when all the different tracks and racers get together from the different spots. So, yeah, I love those types of events and hope that we have something like that come here for our bracket finals race in 2 or 3 weeks. When that is
3, I think.
Yeah,
close to that.
Absolutely.
Exciting.
Sandra, now let's wrap up the Canadian Countdown with the Fling at Norwalk. You don't have the notes in front of you, but I'm sure you can rhyme this one off.
Well, that was an interesting event. So cap deal. I didn't do much. I tried valiantly, but didn't have any results. Darren Frazzo, I believe, had the best result out of all the Canadians, going to round 7 in Saturday's 50K event before technical glitch just came out and bit him. Just one of those things where couldn't have happened at a worse time, and sadly that was the end of the night for him. But on a roll otherwise. I believe Becky Ray Gauthier won a prize for round loss, best losing package type of deal.
Yes,
there were
round
a ton of
one on. I do have the info on that one. Round 1 on Sunday. She was Sunday or Saturday. Let me just look through. Let me confirm this because it was a good one. Yeah, round 1 Sunday. Becky is 14 total.
And no good.
Well, all right, that's Dave's or Dale's. What the frig am I even looking at? Jesus, I should be on top of no. There we go. Yes. Becky is 3 dead 4.
Yeah.
7 total. Your opponent is perfect dead 5.
Yeah.
So seven total and you're 2th out behind.
Yeah, that was the type of weekend. There was a prize on the Friday or the Saturday where best losing package in one of the rounds was 3 total. Best losing package at 3 total. 3 dead 0 and no way of winning. That's the type of race weekend it was in a lot of capacities. Great time. The points fund was a rather interesting deal to watch. Donovan Williams end up coming around everyone on Saturday between his Saturday finish, Sunday, and then the Thursday race that they needed to finish on Saturday, Sunday. But fun weekend. Tons of Canadians down there. Just kept running to buzzsaws. That's you could go out there and pulling in the lanes was 90% of the battle, it seemed like. But great time, awesome track as always, and a combination of two, fantastic beasts there in Norwalk Raceway Summit Motorsports Park. Probably one of the best tracks on the planet, combined with one of the best promotions on the planet. Peter and Emily Biondo's deal. They run a first-class deal operation, so it. Sometimes you put two fantastic things together. One of two things happens: either it's a complete disaster, or it's everything everyone thought it would be. And I would suggest it's everything everyone thought it would be. So,
yeah,
great job there.
I do believe so. I don't have very many results from the U.S. Nationals.
Sean Cowie, top alcohol.
Yeah, Sean Cowie won top alcohol dragster. Charlie Knopik, I believe, lost round 5 in Super Gas.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm sure there was a boatload of results.
I know there's some super stock class winners. I just, in fear of naming the wrong names, you can't think of them, but been kind of a quick turnaround type episode from the U.S. Nationals. So there's a lot going on there.
Well, it did just finish yesterday.
Yeah, somewhere around 7 hours ago. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't fault us for that. We had some insight a little bit, but I did watch some of the Fling stuff. Looked wild. You and I spoke about it a little bit when we were just messaging after you got home. Kind of races like that, especially a single entry race.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's just laying it all out there for the first few rounds. You cannot afford to take it easy, And a lot of folks folded under that pressure. There was a lot of good runs that were not good, but there was also a lot of runs that were really good.
Oh, it's wild. So when you factor in that, the last time trial really was Friday morning, because there was just a few of us. There's probably actually about 40 of us who showed up for the main event portion, which was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that was the last round of time trials. Everyone else had time trials Wednesdays, eliminations Thursdays. That first 4 rounds, it really wasn't. You didn't win in the first 4 rounds of the 50K, 50K, or 30K. You just simply survived them. You pulled into the lanes right, or you laid down an absolutely incredible pass, because everyone was cutthroat. And one of the things that, as I've gone to enough of these events and watched it, you get events like this where early on when you're watching the results and you'd be in the trailer watching, truth be told, I'm at the race, watching the race on a TV in the trailer, because you get better results that way. You can see them going up. Early on, you could tell this is going to be those events where everyone's going out there to slit your throat in round 1, 2, 3. And by round 4 and 5, you can see the edge come off, right? Either those who are trying to dance a very fine line of mid to low double O, and however they're driving the finish line to go low dead on, either fall to the wayside, or they just get after each other. There's not many left. And then you see everyone kind of take a deep breath a little bit. And now you can get away with an 11. 11, mid to low dead on can win a round, whereas the first round, the buyback round, or 2 and 3, depending on the matchup, you might just be hoping for good things, right? To be 14 total or 18 total, like I was on numerous occasions, to be 3, 4, 5 thou in the wrong side of the column, right? Which I'll take an 18 total run and put it out there in general. If I can produce those in mass, something will come together for me most of the time, right? But in that race, at 3 total, Becky's 7 total, stuff like that's in the way. That was the type of race weekend. That's how good the track was. That's how consistent the air was. That's how good the timing system was. All of these things. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. It's a one of those marathon weekends, right? We had 2 of them. U.S. Nationals obviously is a marathon, right? Qualifying starts Wednesday, and then the finals are Monday. But those races, massive, right? Yeah. And then I don't know. I love it. I would love to have been there. Those are the type of races that I want to get to, and the type of racing I want to be able to do myself.
Mhm.
Obviously, I want to stay home and run the tour. Hard to miss those events. Doesn't really deep in the points or not, right? And doing the championship thing, but it's really hard to pass up races
Yeah.
like that an hour and a half away from the house. But still awesome races to be able to go to, and there will be more, right? Because
Oh yeah.
Frank, that race sold out in how long, right? No
I
time at all.
Yeah, like it wasn't the world record of 5 minutes or 6 or whatever it was for like the Bristol race, but I mean,
Yeah,
I suggest within an hour or two, a single entry race, right?
that
At
does attract a different
four,
crowd than the regular
yeah,
big money group.
I wouldn't suggest selling out 400 entries double, like with potential double is easy. If it was, there'd be a hell of a lot more of them. But in the type
Yes.
of event that Peter and Emily run, where doubles are allowed, to sell out 400 is probably slightly easier than trying to sell 425 singles where
Yes.
there is
I
no
agree.
double, and not even double the car. It's not like you and I can show up with one car and run it. It was one car, one driver, no shared rides, no doubled
Nothing.
rides, no doubles in general. And I think that says a lot about the marketplace there on where, what people are looking for in that. It would behoove me at this point to not mention that also, this is bracket racing. Luke Bugacki was the reason I was at that race, and kudos to Brandon for helping me out with this one on Sunday, saying, hey, there's a post, you should go look at it, from Luke. I did get to run the weekend on one of Luke's tickets. He couldn't attend the event. And for those thinking twice or have ever looked at this as bracket racing, this was one of the perks of on Sunday, the event weekend before, Luke posts 2 tickets, first 2 people to put their hand up and say they can go to the event for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ticket's yours. Pay me back if you win X amount of dollars. And if you don't, it's all yours to keep. And I got to run on Luke's ticket. Unfortunately, I didn't do well enough to pay anyone back anything.
Yeah.
But this is the type of benefits from that type of deal. So it's since that seemed to be my sponsor for the weekend, I felt it was only fair to give the sponsor shout out on that one. But cool
Absolutely.
deal, right?
And the thought was there. The effort was there to pay somebody back, but
Oh, bud, I was
you just don't roll
working-
like that every weekend.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Sandra, we'll dive into our topic tonight. We have some. I'll kind of let you lead this off. We had a post that had came up last week. Pretty sure it was last week or maybe
last
2
week or
weeks ago.
two. Yeah.
And it talked about some different racing ideas at let's say the grassroots level, right? We're not. This doesn't reference the Fling,
No.
because there's one class. Like they have the pro, or like the bottom bulb or no box, whatever you want to call it, but it's all one class essentially, right? They all run together. So take this away and lead us off into our conversation.
So it was actually it was a post I think you sent to me, and I just, again, technologically I'm behind tonight because laptop's dead and I'm running everything off of spare equipment. So like racing, all the spare stuff's in my loaded up tonight. But it talked about the entry level, and again, I can't profess that this is an expert level for me, because entry level for me was somewhere around 8 years old, 32 years ago. So I was at a junior, and my next advancement was into a mod ET Mustang going 1130s to 1190s or whatever the heck it was. So much different route than many others, but it was intriguing because it was a concern level about, well, are we doing it right on the entry level into bracket racing? Do we have a good route? Are we diluting it? Are we allowing it to be diluted in the attempt to appease those not looking to necessarily move up, or those who are, I won't say cherry picking, but there's a bit of that in on the entry level aspects. And is this avenue correct? And we have different versions of what entry level is through racing. Like you get into the NHRA ranks, NHRA kind of looks at stock and super street as entry level. Those who race in them would tell you quite contrarily that is not the case. Top alcohol is an entry level to top fuel, and those who run those would also tell you that is not an entry level into anything there. It is its own passion and addiction and compensation to do it. But foot brake, sportsman, street ET, and I have to admit, it caught my attention as a thought of being a promoter at one time, as having these categories. We ran a street ET class that we attempted to really configure as a street class, somewhere that you could drive in off the street with very little knowledge on it and be able to play and have fun and not, be racing against, like race cars, right? Like slow Mod ET cars or slow traditional foot brake, like in the sense of like a race car. It's just a foot brake only car that, the 98 Beretta could roll in, God forbid there's one left in Ontario, and actually race against, a newer RAV and, maybe a muscle car, right? 68 Camaro that a guy or girl drives in. And then that question is like, how do you advance from that, right? So how do you draw them in? And as you look at some of the rule cases that out there, sportsman, which is, I think, the new term for the entry-level street foot brake hybrid, is kind of the bottom end class now in certain tracks. And that class has race cars in it. Like, for all intents and purposes, they're not high dollar race cars, some of them, but how are you expected to bring people in on this who've not coming from the junior rank, or maybe they're coming from the junior rank into street cars? Not everyone jumps to a race car, has that capabilities. And I thought, this is a good discussionary point of like, what is the right path? What works? A couple of the ideas I saw in the post even that I liked, and again, I'll pull on the aspect of, if anyone's ever played men's league hockey, right? You've got like beer league hockey, if we're going to talk about it, right? At levels A down to F, right? For skill level, if you're an F, you're probably like me, you're an ankle skater. And if you can touch the puck, you're doing something right. Or you were a goaltender who never figured out how to skate outside of playing goal. You just want to go have fun, skill levels low. If you do well enough in that, you kind of get forced up to the next division and the next division, right? Or you've got the high level at A, who are just people that they played, they were very good, and they're looking to continue. That model kind of works here, like for adult sports, adult league sports. Baseball has the same thing, volleyball, but in drag racing, we don't. Right? You could be a 25-year veteran and still race street, and not that makes you great, but if tomorrow someone walks off the street having never raced at all with the same cars as that other person who's been there for 25 years, there is a discernible advantage, and we have no other mechanism at the moment per se. Some places have amateur nights, but again, loose rule sets. So the question was, conversation we had was how do you do, what do you do with this, right? How do you fix this? How do you continue to do this moving forward, where we've got so many, like, you can have a track with street and then a track with foot brake and a track with mod, and that's really the RCSS model is maybe what I'm talking about there. And it gives that avenue. You can go from street, which is a street class, to sportsman, or foot brake, which is the hybrid. There's going to be some race cars. There's going to be some modified street type cars, but it's more racy to, mod. And then you talk about going mod to super pro to quick stuff, or maybe tangent off that to the super class racing, right? Whatever. We all think get this stem from there. So I was intrigued by this and thought, this is a good discussion type piece is what do you do with this? There was some conversation that you take someone who's, if you win 3 races in a year in the street class, like, you're out, you move up, right? So beer league type stuff. If you win the division, you automatically next year move up to the next division. You can't run, the E level division next year. You got to move up one, right? These type things. And I always thought that was intriguing, right? Someone who gets really dominant, you're going to foot brake. Providing there's a mechanism for that, right? But again, you got to have an entry level one, right? If you're running sportsman every week and win 5 out of 6 races, we have a competition clause. You got to run mod. There's no more sportsman tech card for you, right? Because that's our entry level class, and evidently your skill level is phenomenal, or at least enough so you should be moving up. So I'd throw that out there. It was an interesting discussion point. I already see some responses coming in. So this is doing what I thought it was going to do in some capacity, right? Yeah. I don't know if you want to throw any of them up there, or there's some longer ones there too, but I thought I'd throw it out there and just kind of, that was the idea, was just, what do we do with this, right? The local tracks, right? Because this is what I look at it as. This isn't a tour series type problem. This isn't a big money event type thing. This is how do we fundamentally do this fairly so that we generate more people to facilitate the growth of class racing, or no box racing, or box racing, right? Or pro mod.
All of it in general, right? I don't want to hit some of the comments. We will.
Yep.
I want to throw, have a couple comments myself. before we do dive into that. So I rather post up here. So, long story short, it's what you just said. We go through this guy's raced sportsman for the sportsman street, whatever. They're using that as the same idea
Yeah.
here in this example. So he's talking about, is a beginner's class, is a true foot brake class, mix of street cars and race cars, define that. And that's where some of these other ideas all came up, and different accessibility into racing, right? I love the idea of, you win a few times and you move up. That's not a punishment, right?
No.
Like, that's not like oh, hey, you won, so you got to get out of our class. You can't race in our class anymore in that sportsman one. No. You're doing well.
Yeah.
You're getting it. You're understanding how this all works. You've learned how to race in some form of it, right? So then, whether that's 3 or 5 or how many races, or at a certain determination of whatever you want to call that, now you move up. You move into this other class. That's a compliment to you, and then it should be taken that way. It's and to keep the spirit of the class to what it should be. I don't like, you talked about RCSS has a program like this. Not with that exactly, but right, they have the steps that you can move up in those classes. Shanville's the same thing, right? They have a trophy class.
Yeah.
Run for a trophy. Who cares, right? You go out there, have fun, learn how to race, do your thing, and that's really the idea. I think about that with what we're doing at Luskville now. Certain markets have a larger area to draw from. This isn't going to work at every racetrack. I understand the logistics of that, and then you can't just say, oh, hey, we're going to do a sportsman class or a street class tomorrow, and you're not going to get 30 dudes show up with their street cars to race.
Yeah.
So if you get 5 guys, one guy is going to figure it out more, and then as you take people out of the class, you're just going to kill the class. So
Kill the class. Yeah. Yep.
I understand the logistics of all that stuff, but the idea and the spirit behind what we're talking about makes sense to grow it, right? Because we have to bring more people in, and you can't just throw them to the wolves. Like, if you show up at Luskville right now on a normal weekend, you race semi-pro, super pro, or if you're not a kid, right, of juniors, obviously. And there's some bad dudes in semi-pro, and there's some real bad dudes in super pro. Doesn't matter what you're doing, leaving off the bottom or not. And semi-pro there is a true foot brake class.
Yep.
So it goes back to that, and but there's some great foot brake racers, guys that have done this, as we said, for a long time. So how long as a new racer do you come in, run against these guys in super or semi, don't matter, that you're gonna get your teeth kicked in, right? Is what it is. Do you just keep banging your head against the wall for it and give up, right? Because if you go in and you don't see some sort of, nothing, you don't need to see like huge success, but like some sort of success in whatever way that looks to you. You're not going to win your first weekend, but be competitive or be this or be that, and have the knowledge or skill or whatever to learn how to race. It's going to be very difficult to keep you in the sport.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for the upfront investment that we know that there is.
Yeah.
So the sportsman class, great idea to have it. Great idea to promote it. Great idea to get people in. And then once they run, a street car or something like that, that's how you bring people, and how people have always come into drag racing, right?
Yeah. And I think that's
somewhere.
Well, and that's exactly it. I think, and sometimes we get caught up in the, I think a lot of the issue of, how do we incorporate a class into the, and I look at this simply from, so think of Luskville's in-house points, not the Super Tour, right? And RCSS, Grand Bend, Shannonville, St. Thomas. I'm just going with the tracks I'm familiar with most intimately, right? But, sometimes the conversation is, well, we don't have enough people to build that class up, or we're going to kill another one. And I used to get caught in that discussion a lot of, I know you're right, we can't do this. Well, the reality of it is some of these things can actually be a once a month type deal. Like, we don't need to do this week in, week out. make a bigger deal out of it. Maybe it's only a couple times a summer you have something where you start to bring people in and bring a group together, like bring people in to help tutor them along, right? And that's, I guess we picture that, we're thinking a lot of one-on-one, right? But there's a lot of recreational type sports, and again, I'm using kind of the adult league type stuff, where the whole mechanism is to get you in, get you out, get you learned, and then get you educated on how to be better, right? Through tutelage of helping you, understand what, again, I'll back to the hockey reference. I was told a lot on the weekend that I'm very Canadian, and I'm showing it now as I'm referencing hockey over and over again here. So any Americans out there, my apologies who aren't hockey fans, but you learn what an offside is. You learn what, icing is. You learn all these different things. And then once you go through a year of that, next year, you're kind of on your own moving into the bottom end division. Once a month, have something like that where you're bringing people together, whether it's like a Friday night deal. Kevin Stittle mentioned some Friday night type deals at racetracks, but you advertise it as such and have people available to educate you. And then if you do that once, twice, even just a year, you get enough interest spiked now. Maybe you get them into that street or sportsman next year. I think we get lost in how do we do this every week type thing. This may be something where a couple times a year or in the season, because we don't run a full year, we do a specialty type deal. And I think that's a mentality as a sport, considering how seasonal we are. This is a different conversation in Alabama probably, or Texas, right? But it's not what we're worried about right now. That you help grow that aspect and give some people there. So if they don't want to come out every week, or they're worried about coming out every week, or they're worried about getting spanked in what is really a sportsman style, not a street entry style, here's an avenue, right? And these are the type of things I think I would love to see places try. You just don't see it for one reason or another. And probably takes a lot more organization than just me saying it out loud, right? But well, I know it does. But nonetheless, right, these are the things that I think would make a difference, right, to help us get foots in the door. Like, I'm not suggesting the sport's unhealthy. As I said earlier, like, there was a lot of events over the course of about a 20-hour span just this past weekend that had very good car counts and, doing well. So, this isn't a conversation of how do we save the sport. It's really of how do we grow the sport more. And I think that starts at the baseline, right? There's a lot of aspects of our sport that are fairly healthy and a lot of it also hinges on economy, right? So, we have upswings, downswings, but I don't think we're in a dire place. But boy, like that article, that kind of Facebook post there made a lot of sense to me going, yeah, you get an entry level at Luskville, you're kind of jumping into semi-pro. That is entry level, right? And you come to Cayuga this coming weekend, you can go run street against street cars. And if you want to really mix it up, you can jump into foot brake. If you really want to mix it up, you can jump into mod.
Yeah.
Like there's a level there. There's a bit of a level system, and it's healthy enough that it works. And it's but not so overgrown that there isn't enough to make it work. Back to the 5-guy, 5-girl model that you had, where it's move one up and now you killed the class by 20%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Just some of the comments we had. So Mark Bedard had, made a comment about, mentoring different classes to familiarize newcomers. I've thought about this before. Mentoring stuff obviously is difficult during the race day. If we're racing at a normal weekend event, right? We're not talking about doing this at a big one, but normal weekend event, there's a lot going on in the pits. Some people have more time than others. Not every pit has 4 or 5 race cars like ours does. So some people have, more time to do that stuff, and would be a great help for the mentoring that you could show somebody firsthand, this is what's happening. And then you watch that race that just happened. Here's the time slip, and that's how it all unfolded. Like you're seeing this right firsthand watching. So that's, some neat ideas. I've thought often about putting races on for a class like that, but essentially you don't lose. It's not like you lose, but like you just keep coming back up, and we keep running with dial-ins and try different things and understand more of what's happening. And as we said, like you've tried this with like test and tune stuff or track rental days, and doing this with our folks there at the start of the year, but let's do this with street guys.
Yep.
right? Because they don't, guys that don't know, like, or people, racers in general, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And you can't practice if you can't keep practicing, right?
Yeah.
Back to in our sport, it's a two go down, one come back type deal from round two on, depending on what format you're running in, right?
Yeah.
You might get an elimination round in, or two if through a buyback, or three if you get lucky, and that's it. You don't get to. And our time trials are not practice based sessions, right? Back to the analogy, right? Like in hockey, you can have a bad shift, and guess what? Probably in about 2 minutes, you get to go back out and maybe have another bad shift. And you do that until you don't have a bad shift. But in racing, you have a bad, round. We always joke like you get to go hit the cooler, and that format doesn't work for those trying to learn, right? Because now all of a sudden it's based on, well, every week I get to go out and I get to go make one, maybe two elimination runs to try to figure this out, and then hit the cooler. At some point, you hit a wall with that, right? And that's frustrating. I don't think picture anything you ever do in your life. You get two cracks to get it right, then you got to stop and not do it again for X amount of time, right? How long is that going to take you? How frustrating is that to figure that out? So, these are the type of things where, you get different formats. How do we go about doing these things that, now allow folks to go out there and practice while still having merit competition to what we do?
Absolutely. And reading through this post just a little bit more, it highlights specifically US 131 and their point series. So this was a WDRA track, or is, whatever you want to say, and then it's partnered with IHRA now with that whole deal. So the original, where it came from, I guess, is, looking at this, is they took it off of the World Finals list for, like, the points don't count for that.
Yeah.
And then there's a comment in here as well that in 2024 the finals would have paid 1,000 to win. Well, now it pays 4,000 under IHRA.
Yeah.
For all classes is the smallest purse. So that's kind of why they took it out, because, and it makes sense that it takes the spirit of the class away by having such a high purse. You're going to get people to come in there with good reason. Absolutely. I'd run Sportsman for $4,000, right? Go do that. But you're going to take away the entry level portion of that class, So without adding, just having another class to their already long list of classes that they do have, right? You just designate, hey, this one is the one for entry level stuff or less experienced racers. You don't have a huge investment, and you're not going to get a huge, bunch of money out of it, or big return on that. It's where you come, you cut your teeth on it, you figure this stuff out and learn, and then you want to move up into those other classes that give you a better reward when you do win. So I also thought that was an interesting point that I had missed the first time I read through it.
And it's a model that has been used as much as it's not really the case anymore. Like the reason originally, and I would say, like, Super Street in NHRA has never been a world championship contested class, was the concept was this was an entry level class into the world of class racing on the 90 side. If we don't offer a world championship, we simply offer the divisional championships, the access to one national event per division to help get people in the door that, eventually they would move into super gas or super comp or maybe some other, division up. Now, again, arguably, I think that day has come and gone, because there's some equipment in Super Street now that rivals the classes that are supposed to be the ones above it, and people who spend as much or more money in Super Street as they do in some of the other classes to be competitive. But that was the idea, was if we don't offer a world championship and you catch the bug, if you want to chase this, you move into a class that does offer that, right? And that concept has merit to it, right, in the right circumstances. And that's, I think, some of the stuff we're talking about here, right? Let's not offer a world champion. Yeah, we need to see who the street world champion is, but in an extreme characteristic here, you put Jig Coughlin into a half decent street car. Are we really crowning a street world champion, or are we just, what are we doing here? Not suggesting that Jig Coughlin would do this, so I'm certainly not trying to get into a lawsuit over this type of stuff of defamation of character or a moral compass. But these are the realities of it. Is that there are folks out there who would take advantage of these things because they look at it as low hanging fruit, right? So what are we doing in that regard? And that's, I think, a move that makes some sense. Is you hate to say it, you hate to take that away from some folks. By the same token, we want to keep the competitiveness and the spirit of that alive. And by doing that, we're not going to make it a lucrative, overtly lucrative deal with a world championship that can be taken advantage of. You want to compete for that stuff, you move up to this level. And if you can hang at that level, you deserve to be there. Even if you can't hang at that level, maybe that's just the place you need to be, depending on. But yeah, I think that has some validity to it. A lot of validity, actually.
And it keeps it moving up.
Yeah.
Right. You always want to keep getting better. You don't want to get in the slump. And there's a way up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's the next step for you to move. Like we'll go back to your hockey thing, like you just said, right? There's somewhere else to go that's going to be more challenging once you conquer whatever challenge you want to accomplish, right? There is somewhere for you to go up at any stage. So
yeah, and that's the key thing. I think that's where and again, Mark's jumped in with a couple of points. Keep local. That's where local steps in on this. Is that if local wants to be a big money scene, it can be. There is tracks in the U.S. that all they really offer is some fairly significant purse races. I just use that because I know that's the case in some places. There's others that don't offer anything big money. They're very, very local. But in the overall scheme of how we operate and how we keep a healthy sport, you've got to identify what level you want to cater to. Right now, around here we have a good mixture because of the way the tracks operate and what our environment is. But at the same token, right, like let's not get carried away with trying to kibosh any capabilities for anyone to come in, right? Like I think Lancaster is another good example. If I'm going to throw this out there, they run like Tuesday night street and some Tuesday night trophy, Friday night for anyone. This is in Buffalo. I realize now not everyone knows where I'm talking about, but I just rhymes things off. So this is a Buffalo track, local track, doesn't run any big events, runs Friday night, mod, top, bike, something else in there, occasionally a super gas style class or super street, things like that nature. But Tuesdays they run trophy, they run junior, because they don't have, like, Friday nights are very condensed, fast programs, so juniors don't run Friday. But they've got other nights where you can go out and mess around. I think there's a foot brake class, one of those nights. That's how they go about trying to keep their, scale moving, right? We're having progression as we move up. Years ago, I had a great conversation with Mike Newman. So Mike and I was running the local quick 16. We had street in my series. We had mod. You went to super pro. Then we had like a frantic 14, a quick 16 type format. The idea of it being at the upper end of the scale, we've been predominantly talking about the lower end out of reason of getting people in. But in that middle ground, if you want to go top sportsman or top dragster racing, to move from super pro to top sportsman, top dragster can be a fairly monumental jump. Little easier than it was probably 10 years ago when, now it's a lot more accessible for some pretty fast stuff. But the reality of getting used to it, getting figured out fast door car, fast dragster racing. So Mike and I's conversation was really based around, it is very important for the local scene to be AAA for top sportsman, top dragster. I'm going to use baseball as a reference now. We'll just keep going around the sports curve here, right? AAA is the last stop for many people before you hit the big leagues, right? That's the final stepping stone where you get figured out your timing. You get figured out how to be a big leaguer before you become a big leaguer. And if you go up to the big league, sometimes you get sent back down to AAA to figure things out a bit more. Quick 16 was that idea. The stepping stone from super pro to figure out how to, run a 250 shot of nitrous or put a small blower on there with a really big pulley and not kill yourself in the process of trying to go 430 or 420, right? And get good at it and then step up. And I think a great example of that, if you want to use a more recent one, Ryan Harris, right? They've put Ryan into the dragster, and their idea is he will run PDRA. Mind you, he's stepping from junior up, so there's a few steps in the middle in this particular example we're missing. But right, he's going to run some local races in the quick categories, the local quick ones, before they go and try to run elite top dragster. this is the type of thing on the other end that I don't think gets as much attention when we talk about it, right? So, if we can maintain those levels within reason, right? You could sit here and argue there should be 7 steps between the person who's never raced a car, like outside of a junior. So we're just talking about from the big car classes up. You go and argue there should only be 3. You go from racing foot brake to super pro to whatever you want to from there, right? Or you could be street to sportsman to foot brake to mod to slow super pro, fast super pro, quick 16, and everything else, right? But I think these are the type of things that, as conversations we get in towards the off season about how do we continue growing the sport, how do track promoters, how do race promoters, associations, like, we're all part of this. How do we, as racers, what we support, what we're willing to support, what we're not willing to support anymore, right? These are sometimes conversations, right? You can tangent this conversation into, there's a lot of splintering going on in racing that is a bit of a problem, right? How many different foot brake versions of a class can we have, right? But nonetheless, these are the things that I think, keep our sport healthy and bringing more people in.
Absolutely. That's great points. Great conversation here. Great, people chiming in the chat. Cody Newman had a great one. Streetcars do bring spectators, right?
Yep.
More people bringing their friends, bringing their family, coming down to watch. And then it all helps. It's all a part of it to help grow the sport and keep the sport moving forward and alive for all of us for years to come. So a lot of action, great conversation, lots of great stuff. So we'll see what happens. We'll do some more of this conversation over the off season. Trying to, maybe we'll try and challenge some tracks to try something different, or maybe we'll have some ideas of things that we can do to help grow it as well. So, be cool. But yeah, great conversations and a great post that came up and got everybody thinking as we're in the kind of latter half of the season.
Yeah, that's fair.
We did get a quick update here for points. Let me share my screen. The NHRA National Open points did come out as we were going through here. I got it sent to me.
Talk about manifesting things.
That's
right?
it, right? We talked about it all, and then here we are. So as we got a couple minutes here before we do go, let's go over some of these. And a nice big on the screen. Shocked, as we all should be surprised here. Mike Ingram has a 112 point lead on the field. So I'm not saying that it's for sure over, but it's pretty much over.
A lot like election cycle, we're projecting a Mike Ingram championship. We're not set, but we are. Yeah, that's Bracket Life is projecting Mike Ingram to be a stock champion.
If Ryan Boniferro comes back and takes that from Mike Ingram, unbelievable. We'll have Ryan on.
Upset of the year there, just based on the current situation. Yeah,
and Ryan's had a great year, right? Ryan's done very well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's just been on fire.
Yeah.
So cool deal for them. Super Gas, very tight. Much tighter than I thought it'd be at this point, honestly. Eric Stroud, 311 points. Danny Danjou, 310. That's wild.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cayuga, Toronto Motorsports Park, can expect to see a couple people from out east maybe making a trek.
I think so, because I'm pretty sure Danny went earlier in the year.
Yep.
I'm sure he would be back again. Eric talked about it.
Yeah.
There was a conversation there last time we were at. He said, we'll see how the points shape up. Maybe we go to Cayuga. So that'd be cool because I'm sure both of them can improve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be great to see it, and it'd be really cool. Super comp, tighter than I want it to be, honestly.
Right? Yeah.
In the lead right now, I am. Mark Green behind me by a measly 4 points. Not sure if Mark's going to make the trip. I might have to take you up on that, see if that Corvette will run 890 if Mark does. Now we'll see what happens, but yeah, down to the wire. Down to the wire. We'll see what Mark does. I'm not sure what he has a first round loss that he can improve on based on what I've watched. So very, very doable. Just depends on if Mark's going to make that big trip. The only benefit that I have at this point is it's a long drive for Mark to get to Cuba. That's the
Yeah.
only chance that I have at this rate.
In the race to the championship, you physically have a location that's much closer, and you're
Yes.
still way out there. So yeah, valid point there.
Yeah. So we'll
Valid
see.
point there.
See what Mark does. I'm going to dig into this. So I will know soon and find out if Mark is going or not. I'm pretty prepared to say that Mike Reynolds has Super Street locked up. Same,
Yeah,
over 110 point lead, 113, I believe, to be exact. So that's about it for him. Mike had a great results at almost every one of the races. So
yep,
really cool deal for him. Pam Rennie taking
yeah,
over 40 points in front of Dave Powell Sr. Be interesting to see. I don't think the next racer from the Cayuga area would be Brooklyn Oaks. That is a
yeah,
ways back.
yeah.
Um,
There could be some interesting travelers
yeah,
come
Sebastian Lebeck
September.
will be at
Yeah,
Cayuga.
yeah,
Um, I'm unsure of anybody else that would make the trip to Cayuga. Sebastian, obviously, he was last year's top sportsman, top dragster champion.
yes,
Still,
yeah.
I'm sure has a chance to improve on that. Top dragster with a big field, a lot of rounds that you can go. So,
It's one of those mathematical ones. There's a few
yeah,
different mathematical equations here that works depending on who shows up, who doesn't show up, who improves, who doesn't. But that is an intriguing top eight at least points wise.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
this
No,
we'll keep
see
an
what
eye on the
happens.
407, see what that looks like on Thursday or Wednesday before the race.
Absolutely. Carter McLean in the lead over Bryson McNeil for junior dragster. So that'll be close. Both of them long drive to Cayuga.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not sure either one will go, but
Yep.
maybe. Who
Or rent
knows?
a rides, right? There's rent a
That's it.
rides.
That's it. See what happens. ET bike and sled. Glenn Ferguson.
That's an
Um,
interesting one because it's a
that would be
lot
good.
of Brandon Satchels from out this way.
Yeah,
Depending on the size of the field, I guess there's a
there might
mathematical
not
shot
be.
of coming around it.
Yeah, there might not be enough entries in there to gain enough points to pass.
Yeah, that'd be the problem. I'd be starting calling all my friends, telling them that the entries are half off, courtesy of
Yeah,
me. Just
yeah,
to
exactly. Exactly. You got a scooter? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Enter that.
yes, it's right here we go.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
but yeah,
Um,
so lots of championship potential final weekend type championships on the slate there.
yeah. So, yeah, it's something neat to finish the show off tonight with. So, cool deal. Glad they got that posted. Like I said, big points guy now. All
Right?
over that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Should be good. I love when a good points chase comes down to the wire.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Obviously, I'd like it more if it wasn't the one that I was in, but yeah,
Yeah.
see what
Or
happens.
two that you're in, right?
Yeah,
There's two watches going on here, but
yeah.
yeah,
We'll see what happens.
it's a fun
But
time of year, right? That's what we get to the nitty gritty too on these episodes, going through points chases, titles, right? I do enjoy this every year, either recapping fantastic points seasons or handicapping the last event or two that's coming at us. And next episode will have some results on one end, and B some real good setups for the few that are left open
yeah,
to be decided.
yeah, there you go. One more quick update before we do leave. There's a post here Trevor Connell made about Shannonville Motorsports Park mix and match event September 1st. 886 was the fastest quarter mile time at Shannonville. So
Ooh,
Trevor kind of laying it out there. All the
yeah,
haters, yes, 8 second pass at Shannonville in the quarter. That's possible. So cool deal. Good for them.
that
They
is
got a lot of
something.
action going on with the mix and match stuff at Shannonville and putting a lot of work in. So should be cool.
For sure.
We will leave it at that. Andrew, thank you for a great conversation. Great episode tonight. Thank you everybody in the comments chiming in. Appreciate it. Love the info. Makes it more fun. Makes the
Oh
conversation
yeah.
flow a lot better. So that's all good. Appreciate that. And yeah, that's it. Good luck to everyone for the rest of September. Maybe you're racing into October.
Maybe November, depends.
That's it. Depending on
Don't
how
have any
far
bucks.
south you want to go, but
Yeah, that's
um,
fair.
yeah. Good Good luck to everybody if you are in a points chase or trying to finish it off or just trying to finish the season strong. Stay out there. Don't give up. Finish it hard, right? It's a long winter.
Yeah.
Lay it all out there.
I'm starting to look at the calendar, just trying to find anywhere to go at this point. I think I found some places to go for the next few weekends as I wait. We're going to do a big southern trip down to Virginia and Galat to kind of finish the year off. But yeah, anything race will, bring car will race is where I'm at, and that's how you know it's September, right? Looking at the 14-day weather forecast ahead of time just to try to make sure we're good to go still.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Thank you guys very much. We will talk to you again in 2 weeks. And yeah, see you then.
Have one.
Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.